on into the building, family. Come on into the building. We got some information to give the family. Peace and blessings. Welcome to Real Truth and Power, where we provide powerful content to uplift the black community with health, wealth, and knowledge itself. Got a very, very, very important information to give you guys. So come on into the building, and we'll start the show right after this.
You are now tuned in to Real Truth and Power, the show that uplifts the community with health, wealth, and knowledge of self. Here's your host, Everett Winchester.
Thank you. My name is Everett Winchester. As you can see, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm owner of the Real Truth and Power business and the Real Truth and Power Live podcast. So I want to welcome you. We provide health, wealth, and knowledge of self to uplift the black community and all communities in general. I wanted to talk to you guys about something very important. But before I do that, I want you guys to do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button. That way you can get all the information. What information? Tips on investing, making some money, just knowledge of self information, powerful interviews, and also if you're a black entrepreneur, we'll promote you. Email us at realtruthandpower@gmail.com. But let's get into the title. Should blacks have their own political party? The answer is yes. Why? Because we don't get anything for our vote. The only way we're going to be able to move forward is to start getting things for our vote. I want to talk to you guys about something and the reason why we are so far behind in the political game. We don't understand quid pro quo. Basically, what quid pro quo is getting something in return. You give something, I give something. So let's look at it. Quid pro quo is Latin, and it's an exchange of goods and services, one transfer to another. So we're supposed to get something for our vote. And if you think I'm making this up, I want to show a little video about quid pro quo and how it relates to politics. And then you'll understand why, when like a person like Kamala Harris says, I'm not going to do anything particular for black people. Well, black people gave you all of these votes, that you got to give us something back. That's called politics. That's called quid pro quo. Check this out. Hopefully we can enlighten each other on this. Here we go.
Quid pro quo. I tell you things, you tell me things. Not about this case, though. About you.
Gordon Sondland, U.S. ambassador to the European Union, directly ties President Trump to a quid pro quo.
Mr. Giuliani's requests were a quid pro quo.
Any reference to quid pro quo?
There was no quid pro quo.
As part of a quid pro quo.
I am not persuaded by the quid pro quo argument.
Trump was saying repeatedly that there is no quid pro quo.
So what does quid pro quo mean? It doesn't exactly roll off your tongue easily.
I want no quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo.
It is New Latin, and it means something for something, like an exchange. Historians can trace the first use of quid pro quo all the way back to the 16th century. But back then, it had nothing to do with politics or lawyers. It was something you got from an apothecary. That's like an old school pharmacist who would sell medicines to patients, surgeons, and doctors. So when it was first used in English, it referred to substituting one medicine for another. But it only took a few decades before it was being used to reference more general exchanges and deals that often find people in court, or in this case, being investigated during an impeachment inquiry.
There you have it. So, and again, please hit that subscribe button. There you have it. So quid pro quo was very huge in politics, and they always say, oh, this wasn't a quid pro quo. Yes, it was. You know, politicians, white politicians especially, other cultures and politics, they do quid pro quo. those communities bring in those politicians. They sit them down and say, hey, what are you going to do for us for our vote? And the politicians, they do a little dancing around about the situation, and they say, well, what do you need? And, there comes a compromise. Well, I know you can't give us this, but can you do this for us? Can you give us a little more of this? And the politician says, when I get in there, yes. And when he gets in there, that community holds that politician accountable. In the black community, we're always voting, and we're voting, and we're voting. And we're not getting anything for our vote. We're not getting the quid pro quo, not even from our own black politicians. I mean, we got gang violence, we got drugs in our areas, and you're trying to tell me we can't straighten this stuff up? If I'm a politician, I know where to go, I know who to get, I know what to do. So when we vote for somebody, we got to demand something for our vote. I did a video, and it'll be in the link. Equity over reparations, or equity versus reparations. Joe Biden got elected, and he's doing some things. He's saying equity. We want to provide equal opportunities for people, and everybody's going to get a piece of the pie. But black people are here, everybody else is up here. So when we keep splitting the pie, we still remain down. Reparations brings us up here, and then the equity matters. So we need somebody to, at least, if it's not reparations, some form of advancement, some form of things to come back into our community. Quid pro quo. And we're not going to get that. The only way we'll do that is if we have our own political party where we can hold each other responsible, put our own people in office. For example, I'm from Baltimore. Baltimore is all black, but it's mostly Democrat. I don't know if we're getting anything for a vote or not. Probably the people that are elected don't even have the control to do that. But if we had that quid pro quo mentality, the brother that's in there now will be forced to do things. And I'm not saying he's not going to do anything. We want to support the young brother, the new young mayor, Brandon Scott. But what I am saying is that he would be under more pressure to keep his job and give back. If you don't put any pressure on your politicians, if you don't have any quid pro quo, we gave you this and we need something in return, then we're not on board. Remember, and I'm always say this almost every show, what is race? A race to economic power, political power, resources. And black people can't be racist because we don't control any of those things. But we continually vote but don't get anything for our vote. Remember these words, and I'm going to put it up here one more time. It is quid pro quo. Something for something. And as you saw, a lot of those politicians and news people knew about it. We don't know about it. We are so far behind. It's terrible, man. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that, and there's nothing wrong with having our own. Hit that subscribe button. It's down here. Yes, black people should have their own political party. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned. We're going to start doing our interviews again. We got a lot of phenomenal interviews coming up. And also, if you're an entrepreneur, if you need some promotion for your business, email us at realtruthandpower@gmail.com. realtruthandpower@gmail.com, and we can get this thing started, and we can promote you, and we can do an interview, and you could talk about your goods or services. And again, my name is Everett Winchester, entrepreneur. We push entrepreneurship in here. Start your business, start investing, and number one, invest in yourself. We are out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Real Truth and Power. Hit that subscribe. Quid pro quo. We out of here.
Health, wealth, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it. Real truth and power. Health, wealth, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.